Hello, everybody. Welcome. Hello, everybody. My name is Ramona. I'm from the Richmond School District. We are just going to wait a few more minutes for a few other people to show up, and then we will get started with our presentation. So please be patient for just a few more minutes, and then we will get started. Okay, we will give everybody one more minute. Okay, everybody, I think we will get started. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Ramona, and I am the Senior Manager for the Richmond School District, their international program. I am talking to you today from Vancouver. It is pretty late at the moment, well, sort of late. It is 9 p.m. here, and I believe that it is about 12 for you in Hong Kong. So it's great that we're able to get together across time zones and that I can tell you a little bit more about Richmond. So just a few things. We'll start with the presentation. Every once in a while, you might hear a bing. That will be me allowing somebody to enter the presentation. If you have questions, there is the ability to raise your hand, but you can always unmute yourself and ask a question directly, or you can put a question into the chat box at the bottom. I think most people will probably understand my English. I apologize if there are any words that I use that you may not understand. If you have any questions or need clarification, again, please feel free to use the chat box at the bottom. I will spend about 25 minutes or half an hour going through the presentation, where I will tell you a little bit more about Richmond. And at the end, I will have at least half an hour for questions. So feel free to ask lots of questions at the end if you would like. So before I get started, are there any questions? Nothing? Okay, great. We'll get started. I will tell you a little bit about Richmond and what we offer, and then we will have lots of time for questions at the end. Let me share my screen with you, and I apologize if this takes a second. Sometimes technology works for us, sometimes it works against us. So let me just make sure that I am Let me try that again, everybody. I'm sorry. Hmm. Okay. Let me try this again. Sorry, everybody. Thank you for your patience. Sometimes it takes just a little bit of time to figure this out. There we go. All right, I hope everyone can see this. If you cannot, please just let me know in the chat box. Okay, would somebody please let me know that you can see this? If you can put something in the chat box just to say that you can see the presentation, that would be great. Wonderful. Okay, thank you so much. We'll get started. Okay, here is a very brief overview of why Richmond is a good place to study. We will go through each of these points in finer detail as we go through the presentation. So first, let's start with location. Many of you may know where Richmond is, but if you don't, we are located right beside Vancouver. We are only 22 minutes from downtown Vancouver, and we are a Canadian suburb. And Canadian suburbs usually are where families live, and then they work in the city. So we really have the best of a city where there is lots to do, but we are also safe and welcoming. Also, the lifestyle here is quite good. We are both close to nature and urban culture. So again, there are lots of things to do, but there is still lots of green space, lots of places to walk, and the ability to go to the mountains. There are also lots of community centers in our area because we are a family community. And that means that there's lots of restaurants, there's lots of outdoor activities, there's lots of things to do in our area, things that suit every single student and their interests. In terms of academic options, we have over 100 academic and elective courses. We also have IB and AP, or advanced placement courses, and we have an excellent graduation and university acceptance rate. These are all things that I will go into more detail about throughout the presentation. Also, we have our own homestay program that we offer students. We have academic advisors at every school. We offer a custodianship and multiple levels of support in Cantonese and in English. So if you don't know where Richmond is, we are right on the west coast of Canada. So Hong Kong is quite far from Canada, but Richmond and Vancouver are the closest cities to Hong Kong from Canada. We are about 220,000 people, but within the Metro Vancouver area, which is about 3 million people. If you look at where Richmond is here, you can see that Vancouver is just north of Richmond. And excuse me, I'm just going to let someone into the presentation. You can see that Richmond is just south of Vancouver. So from here to here, it is only 22 minutes. Also, another important thing to note is that we are right by the Vancouver airport. The airport is actually in Richmond. So there are many direct flights from Hong Kong to Vancouver, and actually the direct flights are from Hong Kong to Richmond. So it's a direct flight to our city, and then it is only 10 to 15 minutes to a homestay from the airport. So as I said before, we are only 22 minutes from downtown Vancouver. We are also close to Seattle and Washington, and 25 minutes to the US border. So we're in a very convenient location. A lot of people are nervous about weather in Canada, but the West Coast climate is actually not bad. We are usually between 20 and 30 degrees in the summer, which is cold for many countries, but it's actually quite pleasant in the summer. And then in the winter, we are between 10 degrees and 0. It usually doesn't snow in our area. It's pretty unusual. We are also home to the Vancouver Airport. We have excellent public transportation through buses or SkyTrain that will lead you into downtown Vancouver. We are also a very safe area. We have the lowest crime rate in Metro Vancouver. We are also an upper middle class community. It is as one of the reasons that it is a safe area to live in. And we're very diverse, and we're very, and it's a growing city. And we are, if we go down here, we also have 10 community centers with free or low cost programs for international students, and have lots of libraries, performing arts, art galleries, a lot of different things for people to do. So as I was saying, it's a very active place if students want that, but we have all the facilities to help everyone be a successful student while studying with us. So here is a picture of downtown Vancouver. This is, as I said, 22 to 25 minutes from downtown Richmond. This is the SkyTrain that will take you from Richmond into downtown Vancouver. It's very clean, it's very safe, it's very similar, a bit smaller than public transit in Hong Kong, and not quite as busy, but it is similar in terms of safety and in terms of convenience. This is Richmond City Centre. As you can see, there are lots of buildings in the downtown area, but it is actually mostly residential. And if we look very closely, you can see my building, and this is where I work. And here is a picture of one of our schools. So there are two reasons that I want to show you this. One is so that you can see one of our modern schools. It's a very nice one. It's called Steveston London, but also so that you can see the area around Steveston London. As you can see, it is mostly homes and mostly trees. So it is very different from downtown Vancouver. So in our area, we educate about 22,000 Canadian students, and that is students from 6 years old to 18, from kindergarten to grade 12. To do that, we have 10 secondary schools, and the secondary schools go from grade 8 to grade 12, or from 13 to 18. And then we have 38 elementary schools with grades from kindergarten to grade 7. So that is 5 or 6 to 12. Class sizes depend on the age of the students and the class makeup, but it is usually between 19 and 28. 28 would be more for older students, 19 would be for younger students. And it is also very rare that we have 28 students in one class. Students study from the BC curriculum, but we also have options for the IB diploma or certificate. And as I mentioned earlier, all of our schools have AP options as well. The BC curriculum is a very good one. It is set up under the same principles as the IB diploma. So the two are actually very much aligned. So even if students do not decide to go into the IB diploma or certificate, the BC curriculum will teach them very similar types of education and with similar principles. And the BC curriculum is recognized pretty much everywhere in the world. So it is a very, very good curriculum for all of our public schools. All of our teachers are government certified. That means that they have to go to school for at least 4 years, usually 6. And some teachers, many teachers will have master's degrees in education as well. And we are a public school district, and it should be noted that 95% of students in Canada go to public schools. Education is standardized, so if you go to school in Richmond or you go to school in Manitoba, the education should be similar. What is different is the communities, the electives, and the student supports that we will have for kids. So one of the things that is really noteworthy about Richmond is the fact that we have one of the highest university entrance rates in British Columbia and one of the highest graduation rates for international students in the province. More students go from our district directly to UBC each year than from any other school district. UBC is only a half hour from the Richmond area, and students have the opportunity to go and visit the school campus, but there's so many other good post-secondary options in our area as well. There is Simon Fraser University, there is the University of Victoria, but there are also many colleges that are nearby as well. Students don't always stay in British Columbia. We have students that go all across Canada, and they also go to the US and the UK. We have excellent course options and variety. So in Canada, unlike many other countries, students take 8 classes, but they are not all the same. Each student will have a slightly different schedule. Their class schedule is made up of courses that are generally required. So that will be English and math and social studies, for example. But then they will have other courses that they are allowed to choose. So they can choose academic courses or they can choose elective courses. The academic courses that we offer we have many, as I was saying before: engineering, architecture, environmental sustainability, business and marketing. These are just some of the courses that we offer in the academic level. But the elective options are also photography, music, culinary arts. We have lots of different things. We also offer English language learning, and I'll go into detail about that a little bit later on. Each student will have multiple levels of support. In the school, they will have counselors that are assigned to them to help for everything that they might need. Those students can go to counselors if they are having problems with their homestay, if they're just feeling homesick. But they can also go to them to say, I want to go to this program at the University of Alberta. How do I get in? And the counselor will let them know what courses that they need to get in. So we have lots of different help. We also have an in-house homestay program with the homestay manager. The homestay manager's office is just a few doors down from me. So she is able to help with anything that comes up. And we have experienced management staff to help in multiple languages. Unfortunately, I'm probably the only person on the staff that can't speak Cantonese, but we have lots of people who can help in Mandarin or Cantonese should students need it. So we have a few different types of programs, but tonight we're going to focus on academic programs. So these are for students who want to graduate in Canada. And again, we'll focus on the graduation program. But first, let me show you a few photos of our schools. So as I was saying before, we have 10 secondary schools. This is one of them. This is Henry Canby. This is the library. This is the, I'm just checking. Can you have the PowerPoint video? I will share this with FSS and then you can definitely get the PowerPoint from them. This is the hallway at Canby. Every student gets assigned a locker. So on the very first day, all students will get a locker when they show up. Okay. This one is Richmond Secondary School. This school has an IB program and has over 40 clubs that students can join, from business to engineering to robotics or cheerleading, whichever they're interested in. This is the gymnasium. Each school in Canada usually has what we call a mascot. This is an animal or a symbol that represents the spirit of the school. And that's why we have horses on the walls here. Every school has a different animal that, or person that they use. This is the IB office on the side. And that's Mrs. Yasuda in there. She is one of the IB coordinators that helps students. This is a super lab. This is much bigger than most of our classes actually are. And here is McMath Secondary. This is another good school. As you can see again, it is mostly flat in the area and there are lots of trees and lots of houses. And these flags represent all of the countries where the students come from. And these aren't flags representing where the students were born. They are representing the ancestry of the students, because all students and all people in Canada, except for a small portion of the population, our First Nations people, have immigrated to Canada from other places. And so all schools are welcoming and have flags like this to make all students feel welcome. And this is Steveston, London. And if you look to the right, you will see a shark hanging from the wall, and that's because this school, their mascot is the Sharks. And this is the science lab at this school. And lastly, we have McNair. And McNair has a very good culinary program, and they have professional kitchens on site. So as I was saying earlier, we have required courses. Those are usually social studies, English, and English is an academic or language arts program. This is different from English language. This English is what all students need to take, and what I had to take when I was in high school as well. We also have math and science, and then we have a lot of different elective courses, as I was talking about earlier. I know that you might not be able to see everything here, but this is an example of all of the different courses that are available at just one school. This is Steveston, London, and if you look, you'll see English and all of the different English courses that are available in grade 9, grade 10, grade 11, and grade 12. Then you'll also see all of the different maths that are available, physical education, science, social studies. You'll see that science in grade 12, they have anatomy and physiology, chemistry, physics, geology, and AP chemistry. And then in social studies, we have law, social justice, And then we have multiple languages available as well. So every school is like this. They have multiple options for kids. Some schools that are a little bit smaller will have fewer options, but at smaller schools, the benefit is that there's more teacher to student time, direct time. So each school has a slight benefit, but they all have lots of different things that the students can study. And here's a sample graduation schedule. Depending on the student's English level, this might change a little bit. But this is how students will usually go through school. If they come in grade 8, then they take most of the courses that they have are given to them. Grade 9 is the same. Most of the courses they have to take. But then once they get into grade 10, they start getting more elective options. And then in grade 11, they have at least 3 elective options. And then in grade 12, they have all elective options. Again, most of the time, students will take academic courses because that's what's required for university, but they can take a few different things so that they are well-rounded. So lots and lots of different options here for students. We also have a very strong English language program for students who may not have English as a first language. So depending on their language level, we will combine language with credit classes that they need to graduate. So for example, level 3 is upper intermediate. If they have an upper intermediate English level, then they will take 2 English language learning courses. Then they will take math, science, social studies, and 3 electives. And they will slowly take more and more difficult courses the higher their English level gets. This is one of the reasons that we have one of the highest international student graduation rates in the province. It's because we do the work to support students' language learning while they're in school. So this is a very, very important part of their education and their development process. So a little bit more about our schools. We have world-class schools, especially for public schools. When you compare them to public schools in some other countries, we do very, very well. We have science wings. Every school has at least one computer lab with Mac and PC computers. There's theaters, music rooms, band rooms, TV production rooms, everything that you can think of. So this is from McNeil Secondary. It's another one of our secondary schools. That's the library. This is the computer lab at the same school. As I was saying before, all of our schools have music and theater rooms. This is students performing at our Christmas play. All of the rooms, also all of the schools have auto workshops, gymnasiums, usually 2 gymnasiums, and often workout rooms for the students. So the last thing I'd like to talk about a little bit is our homestay program. Students do not have to stay in our homestay. We always encourage it because we're able to support the students a bit more if they're in our homestay program. And also it is an English-speaking environment where they will develop the language more naturally and more quickly. So homestays, as I said, can be arranged through our school district, and we will also offer custodianship. Custodianship is usually done by a senior manager. I am one of the senior managers, so sometimes I am the custodian. Usually for students from Hong Kong, the custodian is my coworker, Miss Carrie Lee. Carrie Lee was born in Hong Kong and she speaks Cantonese as her first language. So she is also available to help. Students are always placed with an English-speaking family. There is no more than 2 long-term students in a home. And of course, they need to have a furnished room with a bed, a dresser, a desk, and a closet to put their things. And they need to get 3 healthy meals a day in addition to snacks. Also, the total price is $9.50 a month, and that includes all food and a room. So here are some examples of our homestays. So both of these are actual homestays. One unusual thing about Richmond is that people often live on the 2nd floor where they will put their kitchen and living room. And then where people sleep is sometimes on the 1st floor. So this is probably a bedroom here on the 1st floor, and then on the top, that's where the kitchen would be. Here are some other examples of our homestays. And here are some sample bedrooms for the students. As you can see, it is a simple bed, but we have a nice clean room and a place for students to put their things. And here is another one as well. And I apologize, these pictures could be a little bit better, but it is meant to show you what the kitchen looks like and what a living room looks like. And then here are some examples of our homestay families. We always put a picture of the dog in the families because Canadians really love their dogs. Of course, if students don't like animals, then we will still be able to accommodate them, but it is always easier if they do like animals because you'll find lots of Canadians have pets. And that is me, and that is the end of our presentation. So I shall stop sharing the presentation or my screen. And now I am available for questions. I hope that that information was useful. If you would like to ask questions, you can unmute yourself at any time, but you can also add something to the chat box. And also, please let me know if there is anything you would like me to discuss a little bit more, if there was something that I went through too quickly. Okay, first question. Hi. When can we apply for September 2021? Can we apply now? You'll be able to apply in the next few weeks. We haven't opened the application for September 2021 just yet, but you can always start to get everything organized that you might need to apply. What we require is the student's passport of both parents. There are a few documents that you can get from our website that are specific to us, but also FSS can help you with that as well. There is 2 forms, one called the Declaration of Eligibility and one called the Vancouver Coastal Health Form. We need those. The other thing that we need is a copy of vaccination records and the student transcripts for the last 2 years. So you can start to get ready by getting the transcripts organized and getting the vaccinations organized. Next question, is there an application deadline for September 21? We will take students until we are full. We recommend that people apply by the end of March, if possible. Is it more difficult to adapt if I'm coming for grade 11? It depends. We do have students starting at the beginning of grade 11. That is not super unusual. It is easier if you feel confident in your English. But you can come at the beginning of grade 11, and that gives you 2 years to get settled in Canada and to get your marks up in order to apply for university. So grade 11 isn't a problem. Grade 12 can sometimes be more difficult, but grade 11 is fine as long as you feel like your English is okay. Another good thing about the Canadian education system is that it's flexible. So if you come in grade 11, you can, even if you don't graduate in the 2 years, we have a few different options for you to get the credits that you need to graduate and then go to university. So even coming in grade 11 is fine, and it is, we can be flexible if you need a little bit more time to graduate. The next question is there any difference in university admission requirements for international students and local students after high school graduation? It depends how many years you've been in Canada. And it also depends on the university that you're applying to. For the most part, if you graduate from a high school in Canada, the university looks at your high school marks from Canada. The few things that will be different is that the universities will usually require a student has an IELTS or a TOEFL if they have studied in Canada for less than 4 years. Some universities cut it off at 3 years, but that is the biggest difference. If you come to Canada for 2 years, they will usually only look at the 2 years of education. If you came to Canada for 1 year, then they will require 1 year of marks from Canada and then 1 year or 2 years of marks from the home country. So it is a complicated question, but in general, there is no difference for international students or domestic students if they are applying using the same credentials. So the same high school diploma, they will look at them the same. The only difference is usually that they will require an IELTS or a TOEFL. How much is the application fee if my child wants to apply for September 2021 intake, and will it be waived? We are waiving the application fee for people who sign up within, I believe it is the next month. I will have to check with FSS what our agreement was. The application fee is 200 Canadian dollars. What can I do if the selective courses are not available in the school that I'm applying? Most schools have lots of different options. We can never guarantee exactly one option will be available. If you need a course in order to graduate, those courses will be available. Even if they are not available in that specific school, there are options for you to do it through the school online. So required courses that you might need for university or to graduate, those will be available. The things that are usually, we can't always guarantee are elective courses. What is the oldest age you can accept? Can my child be 18 and apply to grade 12? Unfortunately, 18 is too old to come into the program, to start the program. We can take students who are 17 at the latest, usually. How will the credits work for graduation? Will credits transfer over? Depending on the age of the student and what their requirements are, if a student is coming in grade 10 or grade 11, usually they will bring their transcripts from the last few years, and present it to the counselor at school when they come in to pick their courses. The counselor will look through the different course options and then decide which courses they can get transfer standing for. So there are some transfer standing courses that they will be able to bring into or get credit for when they are in Canada. It will depend on whether or not we have an equivalent in our country. Usually that's pretty easy with math. Usually students that have a different language or have studied in a different language, they will usually get a language credit. So if students have studied Mandarin, for example, in their school, they will get a Mandarin credit in our system as well. So that's how they do it. But then there are certain courses that they must take in British Columbia in our school and when they arrive. Those courses, there's about, well, it depends, but there's about 6 to 7 of those that they have to take in British Columbia in order to graduate. The other ones they can get some transfer standing for, and that will just be the credits. What are the most popular schools in your district for Hong Kong families to choose? Is it a guarantee that my child will be placed at their preferred school? That is an excellent question. Most popular, it's very difficult to say because it really depends on the student. All of the schools are exactly the same basic education. However, if a student is shy or is new to Canada, they may want to go into a smaller school. If they want an IB program, then we have to put them at one school, that's Richmond Secondary. If they are interested in particular courses, that changes the school that they should go to. But all of the schools will offer a basic standard of education, and I don't see Hong Kong families typically choosing one school over another. However, you can look at the different schools on our website. We have all of the school profiles listed there, so you can go through all of the schools, see what sort of courses they offer, see what the school looks like, what sort of clubs they have. And then, sorry, I'm just making sure I'm answering the question. And then when you fill out the application, you will get to choose 3 different schools. The number of students get their first choice, but we can never guarantee it because it depends on the age of the student, it depends on how many domestic students might be in that school, and it also depends on the number of international kids that we have there. Having said that, lots of kids get their first or second choice. How long does it take for the application process? If I submit the application at the end of October 2020, approximately when will you be confirmed? We usually review the applications within 5 days, and you'll know whether or not you have been accepted within 5 days of submitting a complete application. At that point, we send the application to our registration staff, and they will send you an application package or an offer package within 10 days. The offer package includes a number of forms, but it also includes an invoice and it includes a custodian form. Once we get all of those documents and the invoice has been paid, then we'll offer a letter of acceptance. So you will know whether or not your child has been accepted within 5 days of submitting a complete application. But the entire application process can take a little bit longer because there are a few extra steps. Sorry, everybody, I'm just reading. If my current electives include English literature, Will I be able to have a transfer credit on that subject, as English literature would be considered a core subject in the BC curriculum? That's an excellent question. It will depend on the content of your English literature class. And it's not a question I can answer. It's only a question that a counselor can answer. And that is a teacher in your school. You might receive an elective credit for that. I don't see why not, but I'm not sure if it likely wouldn't take the place of an English class here. But English 11 and English 12, two of the core classes that you have to take in order to graduate, both of those have to be taken in British Columbia. So even if that one credit were able to be transferred, it's unlikely that you would get English for it. Can students apply for grade 9 at the age of 15? So we will place students based on their year of birth. So for kids in grade 9, they are usually entering grade 9 at 14 and graduating or leaving grade 9 at 15. So it will depend on their year of birth. If the child should be in grade 10, we will try to move them into grade 10 so that they can be with their peers. If they have to take an extra year before they graduate, then that's fine, but they should try to stick with their peer group as long as possible. Can my child live in Vancouver or Burnaby and study in Richmond? We have relatives in Vancouver and Burnaby and may want to live with them. Absolutely, that's not a problem. The only concern that we have with that is that sometimes it can take a little bit of time to come to Richmond. If he lives close to a SkyTrain in Vancouver, then it can be pretty easy to get in to Richmond. We just don't want them to have to spend an hour on the transit each morning, because that can be difficult. Okay, percentage of Asian students and Chinese students for the international program. So that's different. Obviously, Asia is a massive country, so we are talking about Thailand, Vietnam, Hong Kong, mainland China, Japan, Korea, Malaysia, Indonesia, Philippines. So that is a very, very big question. But I would say in our international program, and only the international program, the number of Asian students from Asian countries would probably be about 80%. And the Chinese students would probably be a lot of that, the mainland Chinese students. But our schools are only 10% international. So if you have 100 students, international students at a school, that is out of 1,000 or 1,100 students. Hi, when is the deadline for the application for February 2020? Well, I assume that you mean February 2021. And is it a must for students to get an IELTS or TOEFL certification? To apply to our program, students do not need to have a IELTS or a TOEFL. We will assess them with our own English test, and that is only to provide them with English support when they come into the program. We have a very strong English support program, so we're not concerned about IELTS or TOEFL at all. And if you want to apply for February 2021, please do so immediately so that we're able to get you through the application process and you still have time to get a study permit. The Canadian government is going to be opening the border next week. Like many countries, the Canadian border has been closed since the pandemic started in March. And international students haven't been allowed to come back into the country. However, that is changing next Tuesday. So after next Tuesday, students can come into the country as long as they have a study permit. But study permits can take a little bit longer to be issued now than they usually are. So please do that as soon as possible. Okay, next question. Can my child study credit courses in the summer in case I don't want him to return to Hong Kong due to COVID-19? How many credit courses can he take in the summer? If my child has a Canadian passport, do we pay tuition fee? So first question, can your child take credit courses in the summer? Yes. It will depend on their age. Credit courses are only really offered for grade 10, 11, and 12. But there are summer courses that they can take. It isn't through the international department, it's through the continuing education department. And I believe last year, the cost was $1,500 per student. It might have actually only been $1,200 per student, but it is a different department, but yes, they can do that. If the child has a Canadian passport, do they have to pay a tuition fee? So for the international program, students have to, even if they are Canadians, they have to pay if they don't meet the credentials to be a domestic student. And the domestic students usually need to have a parent who is living and working in Canada. So the child's tuition is connected to your status in Canada as a parent, not necessarily their status. However, that is through the central registration department, not the international department, and the central registration department will need to review all of these different documents to determine, to make an assessment on that. Seems that all secondary schools focus on sports, but I am fond of choir. There is choir at practically every school, but there are, I'm trying to think of the schools that that do choir. There are a few that have a specific choir program, but all of them do arts as well. Like they all do band and things like that. But I will have to think about the best one for choir. That one I don't have an answer for right away, but I know that there is choir and it's definitely available. Does your school district arrange school bus services for international students, or everyone takes the bus and SkyTrain? Everyone takes the bus and SkyTrain, but many students will actually bike. Sometimes in the winter, I don't think that biking is always the best for students because it can be dark, but students sometimes walk, sometimes take the bike to school, but the city bus is what international and domestic students take for the most part. The next question is soccer a popular sport in Canada? My boy loves soccer. It is growing in popularity. Soccer is not as popular here as it is in the UK or in other parts of the world. However, it is actually more popular in British Columbia than anywhere else in Canada. So every school has a soccer team. I believe Richmond Secondary and Steveston London Secondary were the top schools last year for soccer. So it definitely is popular, and lots of international students join the soccer team, mostly because it is more popular in Brazil than it is in Canada. And so there's always lots of international students from Brazil, from Germany, from Korea, from all over the world that have joined the teams. So is it okay if he has repeated a year? It will depend on that specific student's situation. It's difficult for us to say yes or no without looking at the full student package. So this would have to be a conversation that, a bigger conversation where we look at the different options. Okay, any other questions? Well, everyone, thank you so much for asking such fantastic questions. I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to see your faces, but I hope that at some point I will see you in Canada. FSS is a wonderful agency, and I'm sure that they will be able to answer any questions that you have. However, you can always reach out to me personally. My email address is actually, I'll put it into the chat here. I'll give you our main email address so that if you have any questions, you can reach out to us and you can speak with me, or you can speak with my counterpart, Miss Carrie Lee, and there are a lot of people that are available to help you. Oh, we have one more question. How will we test the English level? It's done by an assessment. It's actually very easy. We will send you a link and you can do it online. All right, everybody, have a wonderful evening. Or not evening, it's evening for me. Have a wonderful day. And I hope that I'll have the chance to see you in Canada at sometime soon. Bye-bye, everybody.